Hello, fellow pickers. My name's Mike Craft, and I'm coming to you from the Redwoods of Northern California.
And my name is Carl Mandrilli, coming to you from Castle Rock, Colorado.
What's going on, buddy? How are you doing? How's
I,
Colorado?
it's good, yeah. I'm just doing good. This is just you and me this time, right? No guest.
No guest, a little
Okay.
something different. I wanted to chat with you about a couple things that you had going on.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting ready for a storm on Tuesday. You know how California is.
Mm-hmm. Wait, are you want to talk? Do you want to talk weather? We're not talking weather. Do I need to do more band topics again, Mike?
For
A
the last
storm's
for the
coming. Wait, what?
for the last three episodes, you've given me a hard time about the weather in California, because we've had earthquakes. I've been busy with storms. We haven't been able to record. And so I
Yeah,
finally bring up weather, and now you're going to ban this topic too.
right. I've given you a hard time about the weather on the last three episodes. I think you're like, are you making stuff up? Like you're just generating your own ideas and then projecting them upon me? I specifically banned weather topics like 2 episodes ago, and then I don't know. I like last episode we didn't do a banned topic list, but banned topic list, weather,
California
weather.
weather.
Yeah,
I thought you'd be excited about the weather coming up. No, we're Sierras are going to get slammed again. So
okay,
it's going to
yeah.
be interesting.
You're violating the banned
Well,
topic list. You're still violating
I know. I don't care. I'm going to talk about free shipping also in a minute. Don't worry about it.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
It's either free shipping or paid shipping.
Calculated shipping.
Calculated shipping.
Which one are you? Is it free shipping?
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
That was the worst bad joke I've ever heard. Usually have pretty good
You're
ones,
correcting who's at the door. You're wrecking the joke and then saying it's a bad joke. Goodness gracious.
It's a really bad joke.
Okay. Moving
All
on.
right.
Moving on. Okay. What's this episode about? What are we talking about today?
So, kind of all over the place with this one. Obviously, we don't have any interviews. I wanted to chat with you about something that you do that I would consider you as an expert in, and that's going to be video games or video game consoles. And kind of wanted to pick your brain about what you got going on when you go up to a yard sale, what you're looking for, how you sell it, how you test it. I want you to teach me.
So you want to do a video game episode is what you're saying?
Yeah, I do. Because it's an area I'm really deficient in, and I want to be able to look out for it because you're making like $75,000 a year on video games. And
Incorrect.
I want to be able to make that much money.
No, that's one thing that I sell for sure, but it's not nearly the only thing I sell. But yeah, and just to clarify what you said there, I don't know everything. I do know a fair bit, but I'm not a gamer. Like this is not a passion of mine where I'm looking for things so that I could play those things. And I just happen to know about them because back when I was in my early 20s, I worked at Best Buy and I saw how popular video games were. So I realized there was a market for them, even for older stuff. And I'm honestly, I don't know if I've told this story, but that's how I got into the whole garage selling thing. Was I saw an old like handheld, what was it, like a Game Boy Advance system with some games that somebody was selling for $5. And I like selling things on eBay, but I didn't really know how to source them. And so I was like, wait a second, that has to be worth more than $5. And so I bought it and resold it. And that was kind of what got me going. But the other thing too that I want to warn you about before we get into this is that I probably have different opinions about some of the video game stuff. And so I've literally thrown away hundreds of dollars of video game stuff on purpose.
Sure.
On purpose. So I'll tell you why later, but disclaimer there.
So you're clarifying that our podcast is not about streaming video games. Thank you for clearing that up. And it is about reselling video games, which we're a reselling podcast. So.
Are you making fun of what I just said?
A little bit.
I don't want to get lumped in with like, not that, I'm an outside person, I'm not an inside person.
I'm not a gamer. I just want to make that clear.
I want to make it clear. And if anybody out there is a gamer, as long as you're doing it and you're not over obsessed with it, awesome. But get outside more because outside's where it's at.
Outside is where we should
Unless
be.
You have California weather, apparently.
Perfect. Well, it's either beautiful like today at 70 degrees or
nobody cares. Nobody cares. We already banned this topic. My fault. I brought it up.
Would you say that you have 10,000 hours of experience in selling video games or sourcing video games?
No. 10,000 hours? Yeah, I know what you're saying. To be like an expert at something, right?
Yeah. I would consider you an
10,000
expert
hours
at
is
this.
so long. I guess if you're talking like driving around looking for stuff at garage sales, if you added that all up, no, I still don't think so.
Researching them, testing them,
Yeah, maybe half
figuring out
that.
what all the good stuff is. So you're half an expert on video games. That
Right.
is more qualified than what I am right now.
Okay.
So I will take it.
All right, so we'll come up with some really good tips. Hopefully, if you like reselling electronics or video game stuff, or you've tried it and maybe it didn't go so well, I've got some stuff, but it's Mike's
Mhm.
job to pull it out of me. So, Mike, what questions do you have?
Yes, I got some good questions. First, I wanted to talk to you about something else that happened to me though. So I sourced, was at an estate sale. They had a complete set of the Book of Life, a 1986 30-volume Book of Life. Are
Mm-hmm.
you familiar with the Book of Life?
No, it
They're kind of
sounds
like
like it sounds cultish. What is it?
no, they're kind of like encyclopedias. They talk
Okay.
about all kinds of different things. Well, I listed on eBay. I was gonna take a loss for it. I bought them for $13.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy offered me like 10. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm not moving them. They're big. There's 30 of them. It's just, it was a mistake. So I accepted the offer. And then he gets back to me and he's like, oh man, how much do these books weigh? And I told him 45 pounds. He's like, oh man, it's gonna be like $8 to ship them internationally over to he's in Nigeria. And so here's the dilemma. So he messaged me and he said, this, oh man, I really want these books. I really want them for my son. This is how I learned how to read, was by these Book of Life books.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, this is great. He was being super genuine. We had a conversation back and forth. And then when he goes, oh, it's going to be too much in shipping. And I'm like, I want to take a loss on these. I just want them out of my inventory, out of my garage. I don't want them away or donate them.
Yeah.
And so then he's telling me it's going to be $8. And I'm like, $8 doesn't seem very much to go over to Nigeria. But
Right.
then I'm thinking, I was talking to Jen earlier and I'm like, well, is $8, is that a lot of money compared, in a conversion factor to US dollars?
Mm.
And I almost wanted to say, I will discount these $8 and get them shipped over to you, but it's going to be my first international ship. I don't know what kind of headache I'm going to come up with that. I don't know how easy it's going to be. I don't know if $8 is actually the fee price to ship these overseas.
Mm-hmm.
So I just ended up, he canceled the offer and I still got the books. But
Okay.
have you done anything international at all?
I mean, just their international program, but yeah, I have some reactions to what you're just saying. First of all, my
Okay.
first thought was, is he some sort of like a Nigerian prince
He did
who?
offer to send me some money if I could
Okay.
cash a cashier's check for him.
Okay,
But
that's what I was curious about.
yeah, yeah.
All right, so
I
there's
had a
that.
gold. I didn't inherited a gold mine over there for some reason. I didn't even know I had.
The other thought too is like this is riding the fine line of you want to help somebody out.
Mhm.
You're willing to go the extra mile, even take a loss for somebody, but you're not
Mhm.
just taking a loss monetarily. Like it's going to take a lot of time to package them up. You're going to be using some of your, I assume a big box, some of your pack
Yeah.
material. You got to bring it down to the post office. Like it's an effort on your part.
Mhm.
And you're trying to run, you're trying to start really like an eBay business or like, a
Mhm.
side hustle business. And so it's great to help people out. So you got to figure out where that line is for you. Is this a reasonable ask? And honestly, for the books, like maybe it is, to be honest. Like
Mhm.
if somebody, has like this is something that's helpful for me to learn a language. Like this is something that I want to pass along. Like that sounds like an honorable thing. But some of the things I've sold where somebody's like, oh, I'm getting my paycheck on Friday. Can you hold this for me? Like, I really want this item so bad, or can you discount it for me? I want it so bad. And it's like it's like a video game system. I'm like, you don't
Yeah.
need the video game system. Like this is not an essential piece of
Yeah.
life for you. And so I'm less inclined to do that. I'm just like, maybe if you're really riding paycheck to paycheck, maybe don't buy the video game system. Maybe put some
Yeah.
money away, like save a little bit, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. And that's kind of why I was willing to do it. I just wasn't willing to take the chance. Are you texting somebody in the middle of our recording? My gosh.
I'm
How?
cutting this part out of the audio version because nobody would notice that. Like when I get a text from my wife, I have to check it because I don't know, because they're on a trip. So I'm cutting
I
this part
gotcha.
out of the audio
So
version. Go ahead. I'm listening still.
I can tell you are while you're checking your phone. Okay, cutting back in. Getting
All
ready.
right.
You ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
So that's where I got hooked up because he was, like I said, we had a conversation back and forth. He was being genuine. I could tell. And then I was just hung up on that $8. I didn't want to be naive and say, oh, I'm going to ship these books, these 45 pounds of media to Nigeria, and it's only going to cost me an extra $8, or I'm going to lose an extra $8. I'm going to get to the post office. I'm going to ship these things. The shipping supplies in my time, it's no big deal because I'm learning, right? This is a learning experience
Okay.
for me. So I can imagine myself shipping these out and then eBay hitting me with like a $1,200 shipping bill for $45 to Nigeria, 45 pounds to Nigeria. And I just didn't want to risk that. I know.
Oh, yeah, you can always cancel the sale at that point. But honestly, if it's something that's going to be, a massive headache to sell, it's a massive item, whatever, like, and it's not selling, you're lowering your price to a point where you're like, I'm gonna end up taking a loss on this. I would just rather donate it at that point, especially if it's not, if you're talking like hundreds of dollars, it's one thing, but if you're talking like tens of dollars, I think I would just rather donate it. So get it out of there.
Yeah, me too. They had a good sell through rate though. These ones in my area were really damp and it's a really humid climate. Or yeah, I guess you call it humid. So it had a little bit of mold on the outside, but the pages were perfect. It's just the outsides weren't really good.
You're trying to sell moldy books. Moldy books.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it's not black mold though. It's not the bad mold. It's just coastal mold. It's different.
Way less gross. Thanks, Mike.
All right, I'm gonna have to donate these. That's just the way.
Get rid of them.
Really
get them out of there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I appreciate your insight on that. So moving into the topic that were you done with your follow-ups? Did you have any more?
No, that was it.
Okay. Moving into the topic.
Don't interrupt yourself. Just go, man. You can do it.
I'm going. Here we go. Moving into the topic we have on video games. So I do want to get into video games, but I played video games when I was younger. Obviously, I had a Super Nintendo and had the Atari, all that kind of stuff. But when I go to a garage sale, I don't know what games are big. Like I've seen you buy Mario. So I assume Mario is pretty big. What am I looking for when I get to the yard sale? And what games am I looking for? And what games am I calling junk? Am I passing up?
Okay. That's a fair question. A lot to say about that. But yeah, I think typically if you're starting out, I would start looking more for systems where if you can buy a system with some games, kind of like a full package deal, then if you can buy it like for under $20, then that's a good start. You'll kind of learn from there. But if you're trying to buy individual games, like you're best off just looking them up. Generally speaking, the sports games, like where it's like NCAA 2010 or 2K10 or whatever it is, like generally speaking, there's definitely some valuable ones there, but they're so rare, you're not going to typically come across them. And those are not ones you'd want to buy kind of as one-offs. So I would just try to buy the whole system. But know this is if you do end up trying to go down this road of video gameness, you are committing some time because you got to test out that stuff. You can get into some serious trouble, negative feedback, scam stuff if you haven't thoroughly tested it out ahead of time. And so, so just know that you got to be prepared to do that. But if you are looking for one-off games, typically the Mario games are pretty good. Again, if they're selling for more than $5 a piece, you might want to check the pricing on them because sometimes they might only be worth $5 to $10, might not be worth your time to flip them. But packaging them up or trying to bundle them is going to be where it's at for that. So those are the things I would look out for.
So I'm buying even smaller valued games, but I'm going to bundle them for a higher price. And then I'm looking for Mario or sports games to sell for one-off as a profit. Is what you're trying to tell me.
No, incorrect. Everything you said there was correct until the end. You don't want the sports games. Avoid the sports games.
Avoid. Okay.
Yeah.
Avoid the sports games.
Yeah, you don't want those.
All right. So that might be an extra clarification. So when you're giving me these tips, clarify if you're talking about just Nintendo or if you're rolling into PlayStation type of stuff.
Well, Mario is Nintendo.
Right.
And then, although technically I did sell a Mario Atari game earlier this year. I didn't even know they had that thing. But it's kind of started off on Atari. Not that you need to know that, but other than that, like sports games are sports games. Doesn't matter the system. Generally speaking, they're not valuable.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. And then, so I'm just looking them up. That's good advice. All right. So moving into systems. Now, when
Okay.
you roll up to a yard sale and you see a system, like I saw an Atari 2600 on Facebook Marketplace the other day. It was, oh my gosh, this thing was clean. It was the wood console looking one. It had the box, it had cardboard, it had styrofoam. The controllers looked great, it had the paddles even. You know, it was only $100. And I
Mm-hmm.
looked at it, I looked them up, looked up comps, and they were selling for pretty good. So I wish I would have bought that one because I
Okay.
could have bought a couple of games for it and turned around and flipped it for 150, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Made a good price. So when you roll up to a yard sale, you see a box full of just junk in a box, just
Mm-hmm.
game consoles, cords, controllers, wired controllers, wireless controllers.
Right.
What are you looking for to you? What are you looking for in that box? Are you looking for dirtiness? Are you looking for broken parts? Are you looking for wired controllers versus wireless
Yeah.
controllers?
Okay. That's a good question. I don't come across those types of boxes very often. I think maybe like once or twice a year. Strangely, one of those times was with you last summer, where it wasn't even what was it? It was like a laundry basket.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, that laundry basket had old broken whatever parts and pieces, and
Hmm.
I think I did what I'm about to say, which was I just like it's fun to pick through that stuff, but for time purposes, just make an offer on the whole thing. Isn't that what I
Hmm.
did? I feel like I did that.
I think so. I think
I think I
so.
said like
Yeah.
$70 for the whole thing, right?
And then you brought the husband out and asked him to go and bring out more of his stuff too, didn't you?
Well, I didn't go into the house and ask the husband to come
No, no,
out.
no,
The
no.
wife did.
You asked the wife to go get the husband, and yeah, that was
She
it. That
decided to.
was.
I was like, "Do you have X?" And she's like, "Oh, my husband does." And then I forget how it went down. You might
She
have,
even called him out that that he was supposed to get all that stuff out way
yeah.
before the sale too.
It
That
was
was kind
like
of funny.
parts and pieces. There was junk
It
everywhere.
was.
It had like I don't know, like
There was Sega.
skins.
There
There was like a
was.
Wi-Fi router that I had never seen before,
Mhm,
which don't typically sell for a whole lot, but that one happened to. And yeah, so I think you don't want to like sift through unless the price is high, then maybe pick out some things. But if you can get a good price on like a whole box or a whole laundry
mhm,
basket, just make an offer on the whole thing. And not just for video games, just for anything. If there's like multiple things you see that are valuable in a box, they haven't cleaned it out, just make an offer on the whole box. Then you get some
mhm.
hidden treasures in there. It's kind of fun.
Okay, what about when you come across one system? Are you looking
Mhm.
for, if it's really dirty, are you passing it up? Are you looking for clean systems? Are you?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that at a garage sale, like typically, especially if it's like a community sale where you're not going to remember where you got stuff because you're just kind of going from one to the other,
Mhm.
I would just assume that the system doesn't work. Okay. And
Okay.
so if you assume it doesn't work and then you look at the price, can you still make some money or at least break even on it if it's broken? And the way to make money on that would be you can sell a system for parts, you can part it out with, whether it's the games or whether it's the controllers. But if you if it's low enough price where you can make some money on it, even if it's not working, I think it's only a win because then if it does
Mhm,
work, then it's worth more, right?
mhm.
So it doesn't matter how dirty it is. Like sometimes the dirtier the better because they're willing to kind of drop the price on it.
I see.
Yeah. So as long as it's not, like I don't know, if it's missing cords and stuff, like unless it's a really old system, cords are pretty easy to find and replace. A lot of times you might even have them in your own house.
Mhm.
If it's like more Nintendo stuff, you might have to buy them because they're kind of, proprietary.
Yeah, they
But
are.
I'm not, yeah, I'm pretty flexible. I'm just pretty much like, if the price is right, just grab and go.
Mhm.
Yeah, good question though.
Gotcha. Good. So into controllers. Now I know that there's a difference between wireless and wired controllers. Is there a market for wired controllers, or should we only be looking for wireless controllers?
I guess I'm not looking for controllers, right? I'm looking for
Oh, you don't look. You don't see boxes of controllers at yard sales.
like a
I see
box
them.
full of, like every once in a while, I'll see like a collection of controllers. You'll
Yeah.
see a box full of controllers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Controllers
Okay.
with the wires and stuff like that.
Um, for how much? How much is the box?
Oh, I haven't even tried to pay attention to them because I know nothing about them. I'm
Oh, I
just
would if the
learning.
box is cheap enough, you're talking like 5-10 bucks, just buy the box and you can
Oh,
figure it out.
sure, sure, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that there's probably knockoff controllers, right?
Mhm.
Knockoff Nintendo controllers, or Xbox
There's all that
controller.
stuff, yeah, and yeah, there's a lot of strategies for that stuff too, and sometimes those are still valuable.
Hmm.
But I guess if I just see the controllers, I'm not like determining if it's wired or wireless. If it looks like it's brand, then I'll buy it if it's cheap enough. Older controllers, just depending, aren't worth as much. Typically, the wireless controllers are worth more, but a lot of them have issues with, like especially like the PlayStation stuff. Like they don't always work, so you'd have to figure out if you have a system to test them out on, or you can take a flyer on it and say this works. And then if it doesn't work and you send it off and they're like, this doesn't work, then you
Yeah.
have to pay the refund. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's a risk. But yeah, I'm just looking for whatever. And if it's cheap enough, I just buy it. That's kind of my strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, and the reason why I'm asking with that because I just yesterday, no, I'm sorry, yeah, Saturday, just Saturday, I passed up a box full of TV remote controls,
Mm.
and it was because
For
they're
how
all
much?
dirty.
How much are they though?
I didn't even ask. Didn't have a price. Didn't
Gosh.
ask.
But
They were so
what if they just said $1? Like, why would you, if it's
yeah,
$1,
yeah.
surely one of those is gonna be valuable, right?
They were just so dirty. I was gonna spend all kinds of time cleaning them, researching them,
Mm.
looking for corroded battery compartments. It was
Okay.
just gonna be a headache.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
I passed
Then it's
them
not
up.
worth it, I suppose. Okay.
So you're looking for systems. You're not really looking for
No, I'll
controllers.
buy the
And
controls. I'm not like looking for any one particular thing. I'm just like,
mhm,
okay, if it looks like it's valuable, I'll buy it. I don't
mhm,
typically break it down and analyze it on the spot. I just kind of have done it long enough to generally know, basically I think my rule of thumb is if it's cheap enough, just buy it and figure it out later. If I lose $5 or $10 here and there, it's not going to kill me.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So is there a certain kind of system that we should be looking out for, like the Super Nintendos or Sega's selling better, or what? Which
Uh,
Xbox, PlayStation?
Nintendo's generally do pretty well, except for the Wii's. They made a lot of those like white Nintendo Wii systems. So those
Yeah.
ones you won't make as much money on for sure. You can still make some money on, and maybe if it's packaged with games, it's a good deal. But generally speaking, you're not gonna be raking it in. The newer systems are typically going to be where you make the most money, but they're also going to be way more expensive. Even at garage sales, they'll be
Mhm,
expensive. Every once in a while, you'll see somebody selling like vintage stuff, like the old Nintendo or Super Nintendo, and they have a game package with it, and they're selling it for a couple $100.
mhm.
Stay away from that person. They're not even worth negotiating with because typically they're selling it for more than what you could buy it for online, and
Oh.
they're just yeah. It's typically an older person who is fine to keep it. They don't have to sell,
Mhm,
and yeah, I walk away. I don't even look at the rest of their stuff because I'm like, oh, this is all gonna be overpriced.
mhm.
So yeah, those are my tips for that. Um, but I don't know. I would just buy whatever if it's a good enough price and test it out, and if you have the time for it, see if it sells.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So when you're selling these things, now let's move over to when you've listed them and you're selling them. Are you, and this could apply to any electronics, are you taking record of the serial number? So if somebody buys it
Oh
and
my
then turns
gosh.
around and returns, kind of like dupes you on it and returns
Hmm.
a broken one,
Right.
are you keeping track of the serial numbers on these machines?
Oh my gosh. That's next level stuff right there.
Well,
Next level. If you're selling a ton of this stuff, the organizational side of that would be, I don't know. I guess if you included it in the listing, then you could compare it, right? I suppose
mhm,
that's a good idea. If the serial number is obvious, you don't have to dig for it. It's not like on a smartphone, for example, where you've got to constantly be digging for those things. Yeah, maybe
mhm.
it's worth it. Or maybe for a more expensive item. That's a really smart thing to do. You're not even asking. This is like more of like a suggestion than a question, right?
No, it's a question I want to
Okay.
know because I know that you've had a couple of returns of brand new products, and you're
Hmm.
like, I don't know if this guy, put a broken one in there and took the good one or not.
Right.
And it got me thinking because I just sold a high value item recently and I didn't take the serial number on it.
Yeah, I need
And,
to do
and
that. I had a big sale this past year where I should have done that. I was kind of crossing my fingers, hoping that it wasn't going to be returned, and it
yeah,
worked out. But yeah, that's really actually it's just good advice, man. I would say
yeah.
that do that for items that that typically are higher value for you or that you
Mhm.
suspect might be an issue. So in terms of
And
returning, so,
unfortunately, it's the day and age that we live in that people aren't as honest as some of us. We wish that we could sell items to people that are honest. And aren't going to try to send back something that's broken or
Right.
damaged. Return and
Right.
keep our good product. All
For
right.
sure. Good
That's
questions,
good.
man.
Thanks, man. It's good advice on the consoles. I really want to get into them, but when I see them, I just don't know what I'm looking for. And I see, I like your idea. If it's a good price, just take a
20
chance
bucks
on
or
it.
less, just do it. And then you can ask me later. But do you want
20
to
bucks or less.
know what, like, why I've thrown away hundreds of dollars of video game stuff?
Sure. Let's move into that one. I
Okay.
got a couple more questions after that.
Oh, do you? Oh, sorry. I thought you were cutting out. I thought you were wrapping that up.
No.
When you say, okay, well, thanks again. Thanks for all the tips and blah, 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 blah. You're not wrapping that
On
up?
consoles. Thanks for all the tips on consoles.
Okay. But you'd
On how
already
to
asked
buy
about
consoles.
the controllers, right?
I did. That was the first part.
Okay. I'm confused. All right. Cutting back in. I'll cut the part out where I asked about if you want to know about that, why I'm throwing stuff away.
Okay. All right. So, let me wrap my head back around what I was thinking about. Probably the last question with video game consoles. I know you're a big eBay guy and you're a Facebook marketplace guy. You let strangers come to your house all the time. It's just totally unnerving to me.
And not inside my house, just to clarify.
Totally creepy. But hey, it works for some people. I know a lot of people that do that. Are there any other outlets that you do to sell your video game consoles? Like is there a website that is just for used video game consoles and video games?
I'm sure. Yeah. This is where you and I are probably not as experienced because people are selling all over the place. I'll sell on Craigslist. I actually am more likely to sell. I guess I'm 50-50 now on Facebook to Craigslist. But if it's something where if I'm trying to get the most money out of something and it's newer, I'll typically be able to sell it on eBay. If it's something where it's like vintage stuff, I might be able to sell it on Craigslist or Facebook. But yeah, that's a good question. There's probably other sites out there, but that's where I've kind of been easy peasy for me.
All right. So if any of the listeners out there know of any kind of other websites that we should be paying attention to, get a hold of us at the Pickers Podcast on Instagram. It seems like that's where I answer most of the questions from our listeners. So
yeah,
that'd be good advice to have, and we can bring it to you guys because I know that there's got to be all kinds of different places that people are selling things than just our small little universe that we're in.
Correct.
All right. So I want to know, why did you throw away hundreds of dollars worth of video game
stuff? Okay, so this is my personal policy, is that if there is a game that's M rated, that's like the mature rating on it. Not always, but there's typically things in there that are going to be inappropriate that I would not want to pass along to somebody else, especially a kid.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, okay.
And so I know some people don't have issues with that. Some people have different policies about what they let their kids do or what they let their kids watch. And I'm certainly not perfect in this area, but I feel like this is an easy win for me to take something out of circulation that probably shouldn't be in circulation. Like, for example, like a Grand Theft Auto, right? Like that's not really a very encouraging video game to do good things. Just any games I just kind of my policy, any game that's M rated. So what I'll do is I'll take it and I'll just destroy it and then I'll throw it away. So whether that's cutting a disc or snipping part of a cartridge or whatever, I'll literally destroy it and then I'll throw it away. And as it's turned out over the years, some of those games have actually been quite valuable. So including one that I bought last summer where it's like a package deal where I actually spent some money on a couple systems knowing that some of the games were valuable I didn't do as well on that as I thought as a result, but I'm trying to stick to my, have my character be consistent, integrity intact, and you got to make your own decision about that. But I feel like that's just a safe play for me. So what's your reaction to that?
No, I admire that. I admire it a lot because I'm not. I don't think I would do that. I think I would still sell it.
Okay,
but
you would sell Grand Theft Auto, is what you're saying?
Well,
I stumped him. I stumped him.
You didn't stump me, but I just don't know how much I want to say about this on.
Why not? You can just say, be who you are, man. Don't be shy.
because I actually play Grand Theft Auto. I like playing it. I like driving around,
You
and
like stealing cars virtually and shooting people up.
I like racing. I like, yeah, um, running from the cops. I like trading,
Okay.
insider trading in stock. Yep, I have played that quite a bit. Now, there. With that being said, there are some aspects of the game that I stayed away from. There's some really bad stuff, and I think it's M-rated for a reason, right? Our kids should not be playing this stuff, right?
All right.
13
Well, yeah. So
being
you're an
under,
adult. You can make that decision for yourself. But if an
right?
8-year-old gets a hold of that, would you be okay with that?
No, no, absolutely not. I don't think. I
Okay.
think that's wrong with what's wrong with our society. And it's kind of funny. I just saw somebody in Walgreens today, and I looked at her and I thought to myself, "You are raising the next generation of a knucklehead."
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Judgmental Mike coming out. This is
it
rare.
was.
What happened there?
No. So the kid wanted a toy, and he's like, and I don't know, he's probably 8 or 10 years old. He was pretty young, younger. And she goes, "No, I'm not giving it to you." And he asked her 3 or 4 times, and she said no. And then finally, he threw a fit. And then she said, "I'll just throw it in the cart and give it to me." And then while she's standing there paying, she's trying to get 80% off of some chocolates, some
Mm.
chocolate covered cherries, right? It's because there was some kind of a discount sell. And she's so focused on getting 80% off of this $2.50 chocolate that her kid's like just dying. He's begging for her attention. That's all it really was. He was
Hmm.
begging for attention. He wasn't even being rambunctious. He wasn't throwing anything. He wasn't causing any kind of trouble. He was just being a little 8-year-old kid, right?
Hmm.
And she's like, "Stop it, stop it. I'm trying to have a conversation." And he's doing things just to get her attention. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I felt for that little kid. It broke my heart.
Mm.
And it broke my heart because I wasn't the best father for my own kids. So
Okay.
I saw a lot of that. And I wish I could have. I If there was anything in life, I wish that I could go back in time to when my kid was younger and be able to do a lot of the things that I did differently. And one of them was stop and have a conversation with that kid. Like, "Hey, look, I'm having a transaction. Do you want to help me with this transaction with this person, or include them, or make
Hmm.
them feel heard?" Or because when he goes home, he's ignored the same way. It's not
Maybe
just
yeah, I don't know that particular person's situation. I do know there's times when you're just like, I need to have my kid with me. I need to buy something at a store, and I need to focus on buying the item, and I have to ignore my kid for a second. Like,
yeah,
you do want to have that moment, and maybe that's an issue ongoing. I think the bigger issue is what you're saying is that they caved in on the whininess. And so I think your responsibility in that situation, I think this is like a fail. I think that you needed to reach back into that cart as a helpful citizen and say, you know what, your kid whined and groaned to get this. Don't give it to him.
yeah.
It's not worth it. And then
I
you
did.
put the item back on the shelf, Mike.
I didn't put it back on the shelf, but I threw it across the store, and then I kicked over the candy
Yeah.
aisle, and I said, "You're not getting any of these either."
We're not
Yeah,
giving you 80% off. I think you need to scold the mom and just tell her it's
yes,
like a teachable moment. There you go.
yeah.
That's
It was nice.
that's my advice for the future.
Here we go. Life lessons on the Pickers podcast.
That's
You thought
right.
you were
That's
tuning
right.
in for some video game console advice.
Anytime you have a chance to scold somebody, anytime you have a chance to give unsolicited advice, especially at a grocery store where they're just strangers, just take it, right?
Yep. Preferably in Walmart. The people that are shopping at Walmart in their pajamas are more likely to take the advice that you're trying to give them
Right.
on parenting.
Their pajamas. You're so
They're
funny with that.
much more receptive.
I think if you can apply what we learned in our last episode from Michelle,
Mhm.
I'm not afraid of you. I think you gotta, anytime you can pull that out, you just gotta get
Yes,
after
you do.
it.
Yep. I have been grumpy for the last couple of days, and I've held my tongue a lot. I wanted to say something to this lady. It's just
That's not your place. It's not your place. Yeah, I think you did fine by not saying anything. So
it is our place to help people in our community be better people. Like, you
not
don't
with
need to be
not
buying 14
unsolicited
chocolates.
advice, getting in the fray with the kid, unsolicited advice,
Yeah.
with the parent, man, like you don't know what's been going on. You don't know their history. I would not do that unless the kid is
No.
causing damage, destruction, or something going on there. I think you
Yeah.
got to just step back, and
Affecting
that's
you.
how it
Something
goes.
affecting you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
No, so yeah, so how did we get onto Walgreens and the kid? How did we get over there?
I don't know, man, but it was good stuff. So did I get to all the questions you had? I mean, to be honest, we're scratching the surface. I've given some specific things, but like I'm intentionally leaving things general because I think they're applicable to multiple types of things, multiple types of systems or accessories. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think
Are
when
there
in doubt, you can just look stuff up though. Just look stuff up. Check it out
You
on
do.
your phone.
Just pull out your phone. Pull out your
Yeah.
phone. It's just not in the Denver area or the Denver area because they have horrible cell phone service over in that area. And you
Mm.
won't be able to look anything up on the internet.
I don't live in the Denver area. I'm south of Denver in Castle Rock in a much more
So
beautiful spot. So yeah.
if you live in the beautiful spot of Castle Rock, you'll have no cell phone service. You have to enjoy the nature, so you
It's
can't look
pretty
anything
true.
up.
It's pretty true. Yeah.
So, is there something when you're at these sales? Is there something when you go out on a Saturday morning at 6 a.m., coffee in hand, that you are looking for? Is there one particular system that you're looking
Is there one? I mean, I like the Nintendo stuff, I guess. Yeah. I mean, really, the gold mine is if you can find it, somebody's selling a system with a bunch of games, and you can identify that some of the games are valuable,
for? Hmm.
but the whole thing. So you're getting, you're spending on one transaction, you're getting 5 to 8 listings on eBay
Hmm.
because you can part it out. And I think going back to my original story where I bought that Game Boy Advance and it had some games with it, like I just packaged the whole thing together. I didn't know what I was doing. So some of those games might have been very valuable and I just didn't know any better.
Hmm.
But like now I've learned just to kind of like check every accessory, check everything just to see if it's, worth something.
Yeah.
So if there was one system that I could find that I like, I mean, it's just, yeah, I would say it would be like an older Nintendo system with a bunch of games. That's what
Okay.
I would love to find something like that. And probably like a Super Nintendo or like a Nintendo 64. They made so many of those original Nintendos that like a lot of those game cartridges individually, some of them are valuable, but they're not, they're less than you'd think they would be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good advice. So
Like, for
you're
example,
looking for the.
I've got a couple that just didn't sell at all. I've got some on our thumbnail this week. They're not sellable.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So, how about the other game systems like PlayStation, Xboxes, so particularly the newer ones that have hard drives inside of them? I can't remember
Mhm.
if I was talking to you about it or somebody else, but I know people that will actually buy those, or if somebody's just giving them away, they're in a free pile. They'll take them, they'll open them up, and they'll
Mhm.
sell the hard drives. Because they could be pretty big. 1 terabyte, 500 gigabytes, something like that.
Yeah.
Hard drives. Are you doing anything like that?
No, I know you can make money doing that, and certainly like you're gonna save weight on the shipping and stuff. But I just test out to see if it works, and if it doesn't work, and then this is where it takes some time. You got to look on the screen. It takes a minute to set, especially the newer stuff. Takes a minute to see if it works. Then
Hmm.
once you find out that it works, you got to find the right screen. Like what's the storage, and then you've got to I don't know. One tip is like once you found the storage, take a picture of it so you don't forget. Take a picture of it working, so that way you have evidence that it's like a working system when you're selling it.
Hmm.
People like to see the evidence there. And yeah, but I'm not parting it out quite to that extent.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Good to know. I bought some fuses, some house fuses, the old style. There were a couple of them were the screw-in type, and a couple of them were the blade, or not the blade type, but the tube types.
Okay.
And kind of like what you're saying, look for what you're buying it in, because it was in a fishing tackle box that I'm going to be able to sell for more than you know. Not only did I score on all the fuses that I bought, but the tackle box is actually going to be able to bring me 20 or 25 bucks too, that it was
Mm,
packaged in. So,
yeah.
and I don't even think the lady at the yard sale knew, even considered that it was in a tackle box.
Right. 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 Yeah. No. Good
That's good
call. That's
advice.
yeah.
Did you
That's
sell
the
that?
key.
Did you sell that laundry basket that you got all that video game console stuff in when we were together?
I think that got thrown away pretty fast.
Oh
Old
no.
cruddy laundry basket. It's probably
Yeah.
not what you want.
All right. Sounds good.
That's
All
good.
right,
Good tip
buddy.
right there. If you get a laundry basket as part of the deal, it's okay to throw some things away. Or I might have donated that one. I don't know.
Maybe that
Yeah.
would work.
Yeah.
Thanks for
But
all those tips, man. I
yeah.
feel like
What tips is that? Do you think? Like, do you think we got more than 10 tips out of that?
Oh yeah, there was
Okay.
there was more. I didn't keep notes. I don't think I could type and talk at the same time
I'm
without it
just,
being
estimating because we don't want to have a clickbait title, Mike. We need to have a title that is true to form. And we've got 10 tips that might help you sell some video games. So we'll see.
10 of the best tips on sourcing video games and consoles.
Right. Right. But I don't
Right.
want you passing stuff up anymore. I want you, if it's cheap, just buy it. And if you're not sure, you can give me a call or text me and then we'll see what
Mhm.
happens.
I
Okay.
will, because I did something I picked up from you was like those remote controls. I would have passed up that box and never even looked at it to begin with.
Right.
But I know that you've sold some remote controls, so it's really got my eye
Well,
fixated on
I
them.
sold one recently. It wasn't that much money. It was just part of a box that had other goodies in it. So,
Mhm.
and I've
That's
sold
good
the other
stuff.
goodies for way more. I just was like, well, I might as well check the remote controls.
Well, those are great tips.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Great things to look out for.
Yeah, that was a good number of tips. I think enough helpful stuff for everybody. So
Did you like it?
I like it. I think, fellow pickers, it's time to find your own treasures one story at a time.
And remember, it's not reselling unless you're picking up those Super Nintendos.